off-grid. Off-grid. A lot of people, all of us sitting here, I doubt if we really understand what off-grid really means. It's 50% of the population in Bangladesh living in off-grid, means the areas where there is no electricity. Imagine there is no electricity, no sanitation, no water, no banking, no government. Basically, nothing exists. Now get this solar to him. I'll share an experience in Bangladesh. 3.5 million people using a system called solar home system. A system with one panel, one battery, couple of lights. 3.5 million. All in these remote off-grids. Now that's a number. This 3.5 million is more than the entire world combined. How did that magic happen? It didn't happen because the technology is more efficient. It didn't happen because guys are more smart than the rest of the world. It happened because a combined ecosystem development was in place. That includes financing, that includes the simple and right technology, and that includes an efficient way to deliver. And that was the magic that happened. My background, on the other hand, was designing chips. So I lived 15 years in Silicon Valley, in California, in Florida. Came back to Bangladesh in 2007 and wanted to do what I know how to do, which is design chips. Never knowing where this chip ultimately ends up. I've never seen anybody using the chip. So in 2009, I saw one home using this solar home system. And I saw that. And I said, why are you using 12 volt? Because the solar home systems are basically 12 volt system, 12 volt battery and a 12 volt panel. And they said, well, this is what is available. And then I started looking back because my background is designing electronics. I said, what if we can come up with something that almost gives you the same benefits of having electricity in your home, like an utility grade? And they said, well, is there something available in the market? No. Can you develop something that works like that? I said, well, maybe we can. But the question is not just about the technology of the product. Can you deliver? Because innovations are hard to deliver. Ask Steve Jobs, he knows better. But if you can put in all the elements, 3 basic elements, trying to do any business in off-grid. And one of them is, of course, your technology has to be efficient in terms of generation to all the way to the consumer. Technical efficiency. But more than that is the financial efficiency. Can you sell something in an off-grid areas and bring back the monthly payment back to your bank account? That requires much more work in terms of making it more efficient. How did they do it before we jumped in? They were doing like 3 years credit sell for a system which was costing them somewhere between $150 to $400. And they were selling this on a credit basis for 3 years, a program supported by international donor agencies like World Bank and others. So these guys had to go door to door to collect like 400 taka, which is $5 every month. And that has to go through all the layers back to your bank account. A lot of pilferage in the process. End of the day, the whole system becomes very, very inefficient. Now talk about the inefficiencies of that system of collection compared to the efficiency of generation. So putting them together, and the third piece was how to provide service. Because this is not a Lux soap that you're buying in the corner street. This is a system that gives you energy. So the question is, if you buy a product that you don't know how to provide service. You're relying on somebody else to come in your home and give you the service, and you're living in the off-grid areas so far away from any resource center, then the cost of providing that service also goes up. So these three elements, which is the system efficiency, the payment collection efficiency, and providing service to the end user, combined together, became a big challenge. And this is still the biggest challenge, no matter what technology we have, how to get that to the end user. So we looked at that. So we developed, the first system we developed was 120 volt based small solar system. It gives the same panel and battery being used, and it gives the utility level so that people can use in their home any appliance they choose to. But built into that was a payment system. And that payment system was very simple. Because it's a product, it's not a utility or energy. What we did is a fixed monthly payment collection system. Meaning they pay by the mobile phone. You know that whether you have electricity or not, you do have mobile phone. And it's not one, probably you have 2 or 3 in the home. So you can use that for whatever purpose. So they pay by the mobile phone, they get a 4-digit code in their mobile phone, they use the TV remote to insert that code in the device, and they run for 1 month. And that simple system was like a dynamite. It changed the whole process. Now I don't need anybody going door to door. I don't have any bad loans or any collection. And on top of that, the collection efficiency is 100%. So that changed. Once that happened, we said, what else, next thing we can do? And that next thing is what we're talking about, is nanogrid. The name actually gives you an idea. It's a very, very simple grid system. Like we talk about microgrid, mini grids, these are like 100 kilowatt, 50 kilowatt range. Where we are talking about nano, it's a 3 kilowatt system, which is the same size that we saw today in one of the homes. It's the same size, powering 50 homes in a neighborhood of 2-kilometer radius. Each home consuming 50 watt, and within that 50 watt they have 1 TV, 1 fan, couple of lights, mobile charging, and all the small gadgets. And the monthly payment still is in the same number, $5 a month. Now that's not a fixed number, it's a meter based, so as much as they want, they can use it, but just the ballpark number is $5 per month. They can use all the energy that they needed to support any kind of standard appliance they need. And the biggest thing why this is happening, we are now installing 10 of these grids every month. And by the end of next couple of months, it will ramp up to 100 systems per month. And we have signed up with a company in the US to do 5,000 of these nano grids in the next 3 years. And that's just the beginning. Because the Bangladesh alone needs 100,000 of these grids. These are so small that, there's a reason why this is so small. Because if the grid size is too big, scale of economy helps you because your per unit cost comes down. But then what goes down is the utilization. Because in the off-grid areas, these guys have been using kerosene lamp. So their need at the beginning is very, very low. So if you start and put a very big grids, you'll scramble your head for a long, long time before the load actually picks up. So there's a happy medium where you don't want to be too big, and at the same time, you don't want to be too small. Because the solar home system, which has been very successful, are in that domain is very small. On the other hand, the microgrids or the mini grids that we talk about, which are in the range of hundreds of kilowatt, are too big for the off-grid areas. As I said, sustainable, like if we can handle these 3 elements, the technology-wise, the payment collection-wise, and of course, providing service-wise. If we can make it efficient, using the technology, whatever available at the moment, you can make it sustainable, both financially and technology-wise, in the longer term, in the off-grid areas. And there's 1.3 billion people in the off-grid. Bangladesh is one, but if you look at the Africa, where 80% population living in off-grid, you look at India, you look at Indonesia, we are now operating in 4 countries including Tanzania, Nepal, Malaysia, and India. But I think the sustainability depends on the local geography, whatever technology means available, can you use that to deliver. And the biggest thing is not only just deliver, get the money back. That is even much bigger challenge. Depends on, of course, the geography that we operate in. We'll talk about, in this sequence, about the company, about the team, and the problems and the opportunities, and the technology and the advantages, the business model, and the market potential. That's how we engage the channel partners. Company we founded in 2009, and that is exactly when we found that the price of the PV is coming down. And it is at the point where we felt over the next few years it will be commercially viable, meaning you don't need any subsidy, you don't need any donors, it doesn't have to be a subsidy-based model. Everybody laughed at us when we proposed this in 2009. So you got to be crazy to think about this. We said, watch the time, it'll happen. It's just a matter of time. It is happening. At the moment, we are not only selling into the donor subsidized network, but also doing it on a commercial basis. The NANO is a good example, which is fully commercial basis grids, turnkey solution. Our objective is to innovate appropriate technologies for the off-grid grid. And that includes not only the generation, but also the financial gateway. IFCs are investors with 20% equity in the company. Company has grown since 2009 and 350 people right now. We have 100 branches in the off-grid areas and also 600 our partner branches that we support. Revenue started last year, we did $5 million. This year we are targeting to reach $12 million. That's about me. I have a website, didarislam.com. If anybody has any interest, you can have a look. I have 10 patents in the technology called Quick Radio, which is a single chip radio. In the US, if you're using Genie brand, you're probably using my chip inside, which is the garage door, using the technology. This is the team we have, 135 years of cumulative experience. Like I said, it's the payment collection and service. Now, if you look at the off-grid areas, it varies from countries to country, but in Bangladesh, the cost of grid extension is around $400 in average per home. A cost of setting up the NANO, including everything, even including the LED lamps in the house, is around half that cost. Because a 3 kilowatt system for 50 homes would cost you around $10,000. That's $200 per home. So that's 50% of the cost of just grid extension by the government. Meaning, this is a compelling argument why we all think that people in that part of the world will not see the grid. Just like they will probably not see the landlines. They all are using mobile phone. And if you look at the small solar home system, the capex is too high. It's around $8 per watt. Those are the small system with one panel and one battery. And the monthly installment for solar home system based lighting is around $2 per lamp per month. And more interestingly, the cost of revenue collection, which is the bulk of the operating cost, is very, very high for systems like that, which are fully distributed at the home level. And the irrigation to irrigate water is the problem with the standalone system is 7 months of the year you don't need water. So the system remains idle, and that pushes the cost high. Unless you have a way to use that energy in the off-peak season, the standalone irrigation system really doesn't work. $5 a month, that's a magic number. There's a lot of analysis on this. People think in the off-grid areas, the income level is so low, how can they pay for the energy? The fact is, the percentage of the annual income is spent on energy for the off-grid areas is more than 15% compared to what in the urban areas we do is only a single digit, like 3-4%. So meaning the percentage-wise, they spend much more for the energy. And in a Bangladeshi perspective, that $5 per month is a number that the top 60% of the off-grid population can actually afford to pay. And they're paying either way, either it's kerosene or it's solar home system or any other alternatives. But those are very limited. With NanoGrid, for the same cost per month, $5 a month, they can now use actually light, TV, fan, and all the amenities. And the cost of irrigation comes out to be like $100 per acre. This is how the system looks like. It's a 3 kilowatt system with 36 kilowatt hour battery. This is the battery backup system for the residential energy use. And then on top of that, there's additional 5 kilowatt panel only for day use for season irrigation purpose. In the off-peak season, this energy is diverted into the battery backup and the tariff is reduced so that they can use it at a lower tariff. Inverterless technology. If you look at the electronics part, other than the panel and the battery, the biggest cost item is the inverter. And the cost comes in two different ways. It's the cost actual dollar amount and it's the loss that comes through. The loss comes from China, cost comes from Germany. You know what I mean? I mean, if you buy the best quality inverters, it will cost you more than $1 per watt. If you buy the low quality inverters from China, you'll end up paying the loss. Either way, it's a cost. So by reducing the inverter, this is what we have developed. We have eliminated the Achilles heel, the biggest problem in the off-grid areas. And that way, the capex has been reduced to only $3 per watt, as opposed to $8 per watt peak for solar home system. So this is less than 50% of the home system products. It's a modularized system, meaning you can scale up. It's a DC system just like the one we just saw. This is a 380 volt, but the one we have done is 220 volt DC. So the generation and the battery is all in one place, and the cable goes out is 220 volt to every home, and the home only has one device called the prepaid smart meter. And what that meter does, a lot of things. The basic two options. One, you can use it as an energy meter, or you can use it as a fixed monthly payment collection gateway. What that means is, let's say somebody is using the energy, so he's topping up every time, just like your prepaid phone. But at the same time, if he wants to buy an appliance in the off-grid areas, energy efficient appliance, and he wants to pay it on installment over 6 months, he can still use the same gateway, can make the monthly installment over the mobile phone, get a code, insert it, and his device works. So it's an interesting way of supporting the off-grid population. It's a complete ecosystem. Not only just give them the energy, but also give them the appliance or any other thing that they want to buy when they have the energy. And allow them to pay you in an installment where there is no bank, where there is no other way to make the payment, no Visa or MasterCard. It's a centralized operation as opposed to the one we just saw. And one of the biggest reasons was we did not want to combine product and energy mix. If you do, it becomes confusing a lot of times from the user or collection of payment, because either they're paying for the product or they're paying for the user energy. So this system, the NanoGrid system, is a completely energy system, just like we call it virtual utility company, so that anybody can set it up, a bunch of those in areas, and they can sell the energy and collect the energy bill on a perpetual basis. One of the things is service. If you do it on one point versus every home, then you can provide the service at one point for the 50 homes. And that way, the cost of providing service diminishes drastically. And we have one guy in one place supporting 10 of those nano sites. So that means each of them has 50 homes. So you're supporting actually 500 homes using one guy paying $100 a month. And we have this remote sensing, so we know every nano how it is operating. And from each nano controller side, each home has cable, which is DC. And we have this power line cable communication, so that we know every home how much energy they're using. We're collecting all this data without actually having any internet or any of those connectivity. So it's a internet-less, more reliable connectivity. You're gathering the data, and at the same time, you can turn on and off, or sometimes we call this autopilot mode. For example, if your nano operator is not cooperating or working right, you can take over centrally and charge those meters directly. So those are all those functions built in, and the basic idea is to support the need of the people at the bottom, where they cannot pay everything cash, so they need some kind of installment payment, and at the same time they should be able to afford what you're providing them at the cost that they would willing to. So these are the three basic things. So the inverterless technology, which pushes up the energy efficiency by almost 2x, is a prepaid metering system for the payment collection, and cluster of 50 homes for efficient providing services. This is how it looks. The powerhouse is a small space where you put all the electronics of the battery, and every home here has only the meter. If you look at the market in Bangladesh alone, the total number is 20 million homes, out of which the top 30% is in that range of $8 per month, which is their affordability. And the next segment is right $2 to $5. So the top 30 and the 60, this entire segment can actually be the potential customer for the nano solution. And the foreign market that we are operating now, in Africa we're operating in Tanzania, and in Asia a few countries, they also has a huge potential in the truly off-grid market. I'll skip this one. Like I said, in Bangladesh alone, we have signed an agreement to do 5,000 nano in the country, and the capex for a system like that costs you around $10,000 per nano site. And the interesting way how we are arranging the finance is every home actually pays $50 one time as connection fee. So if you have 50 homes, we're collecting $2,500 one time. And then the guy who operates this site, it's his own business. So we're enabling this local entrepreneur to start their own business by only paying $2,500. So together, we're collecting $5,000 up front. And the remaining $5,000, we are financing them at a commercial rate through commercial banks. Net result, the guy who is investing $2,500 gets his return back in 18 months. Banks gets his money back in 4 years at 9% interest. And then the guy owns the whole system perpetually. So it's a commercially driven, commercial rate, no subsidy, end user cost significantly low, and it's a utility using solar as the source. We have a small generator as a backup just to support this bad weather condition like we saw today, this kind of situation, which normally in Bangladeshi perspective is about 20, 30 days that you have to use those generators per year. I will skip this page. Thank you.
Questions? Yes, we'll start from here and how do you want to start? Yeah.
I was wondering how you deal with situations where maybe you don't have enough capacity to meet the current need. They've already paid for power, but now they're not getting it necessarily when they want. Does it happen, and how do you deal with it?
This 3 kilowatt peak system, in average, can produce 10,000 watt hour per day. Now, we will be always happy if I get 100% utilization. It never happens. Takes about 3 to 6 months before actually your load picks up, and we constantly monitor all the feedback, who is using what. If your system grows, I mean demand grows, you can always scale up in terms of your panel and battery because it's a DC system. It's very easy to scale up, and we have not seen yet, only one place we have scaled up from 3 kilowatt to 5 kilowatt. But because of the DC system, it's very easy as long as you can monitor your load pattern and how much they're using.
Did you notice any changes in social connection between people in jobs or family hierarchy or family duties?
Well, a couple of things happened. First of all, initially when we started this, we didn't know the impact would be so high, because the guy who is managing this thing, he is a local powerhouse now, right? He controls 50 homes. So initially, we were also skeptical. I mean, how to handle this? We are not a government, we are a private company. And how can you go into an area where this is a traditionally government's job? So I went to the government people and told them this is what we're going to do, and you don't have any regulations on writing. It's like a gray area. And they said, look, it's an off-grid. If you can do something which offloads some of the burden from our shoulder, we're happy. Go help us. And then the only guy in the remote areas is called the elected chairman. And so you go to them and say, okay, here's the thing, and we are coming to your place and we are giving electricity, so help us. And most of the time, in fact all the time, they will be happy to help you because it's in their own interest. They will have elections 2 years from then. So it doesn't hurt you. Now, the local community guys, there is always some tensions, because this home and that home, this community and that community. But sometimes, yes, if the cable is running through somebody's neighborhood and somebody says, no, I'm not going to allow that. And so a lot of times the chairman comes in and he settles those things. So things happen in that nature. But most of the time, when they find electricity coming in their home, something they have a remote control where they're getting a code and putting that code and they're running all of a sudden, it's a different feeling altogether. So all those little petty things, they can overcome very quick.
Thanks. Do you find that there's any issue with any of those communities? Maybe is there any issue with the payment from any of those communities? I know that it's sort of the prepayment approach, but is there any issue with securing that payment once all the technology is installed?
Because it's a fully prepaid system, so we don't have the direct problem like that, but only problem is how to collect the upfront money, the $50 that we bring from them. So that's one of the reasons why we have that option. It's a monthly payment collection option. So someone who doesn't want to pay all $50 at a time, he had an option. He can pay 50% down payment, another 50% over 4 months, using the same device as a payment gateway instead of meter.
Sorry for asking two questions, but how would you define a typical community or a typical micro community? Is there a sort of typical characteristic that you feel are the most suitable for this type? I mean, apart from the obvious things, but are there sort of...
I would say this, a country like Bangladesh where the population density is so high, you are not hard pressed to find sites. More difficulty is to find the right guy, the entrepreneur. Finding right site is no issue, but finding the right guy who you can really train up, trust, and can really operate is the difficult part. And so we have a very elaborate screening process how to find those local entrepreneurs.
Elaborating on this, on the way you manage the money collection. So I understand you leverage payment. Have you also partner with the telecommunication providers? I mean, how do you structure
Okay, the way we structured it, in some countries, the telecommunication operators can also work like agent banks. In some countries, they are not allowed. For example, in Bangladesh, they are not allowed. But in Tanzania, for example, they are allowed. So in Tanzania, it was much easier. But in Bangladesh, it was difficult. So we have our own server set up, and we are linked with their server, not using them as the payment collector, but they're using their service, directly communicating with our server, so that when there is a payment, we know immediately. And then we send, our server automatically calculates and generates the code and send the user automatically. So it's like a two-step process depending on which country you're operating. In Africa, for example, because of this mobile banking, it's much more easier. Bangladesh was a little bit difficult, but we got it done.
It's a very acceptable. This one's working. That's not all. Should be working. Should be just drop.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, thank you. That's a really exciting initiative, Dida. And so I can see it really working well. You may have mentioned it and I missed it, but I'm just wondering how you handle how the entrepreneur, like you're finding a whole bunch of entrepreneurs basically who are setting up their own retail energy organisation. They're counting on the fact that 50 homes will sign up. Do they have a risk that 50 won't sign up, or they don't do it until they've found the 50 homes that do it?
The way we handle that, normally when we select an entrepreneur, he has certain things he has to do. For example, he has to pay his own $2,500, one. He has to pay another $2,500 security deposit to us. He has to submit 50 homes signed document that yes, we want to connect, we want to get the connection, and also including what kind of appliance they want. So there's certain things that they have to collect, to get everything ready, then he is qualified. So initially he has done his job, or we forced him to do his job. Once that part is done, automatically you have managed some part of the risk, but still that it remains. So a lot of people are skeptic. They say, oh, you guys will take the money and run. So once they start seeing 20 people in that neighborhoods already got the connection, then even thing happened like people started bribing him to get the connection. They thought it's some kind of government service that somebody came in. And but we limited to 50 house. We said, okay, if it's more than 50, rather either you scale up or you set up another one in the neighborhood. So in most cases, it's not difficult to get them excited and get connected. Rather, we always see, can we keep up with the number of people in 6 months? The way they come in. But it's just breaking that trust issue. Does it really work? I mean, they're asking upfront money.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for great presentations. I think we're going to take a break now, and then we're going to